Good morning to all. Uh, Today I am discussing about rules for constructing a network diagram or a network analysis. So before we are going to construction of a network diagram, first you have to know the rules. What are the basic rules of constructing a network diagram? So there are a number of rules in connection with the handling of events and activities of a project network which are given below. Okay, so there are so many rules are there. So we are discussing one by one. So each activity is represented by one and only one arrow in the network. Okay, so we are only constructing, suppose if we are constructing a network, so every event is connected with only single arrow. You are not using a double arrows or something. So how to use a single arrow. Okay, so suppose if you are using like this, so this is the arrow, so not in a shape, straight line. So how to use single arrow, not using simultaneous arrows. That means like this. So you are connecting events with in this way. Okay. So like this. So don't use another arrow. So that is meaningless. Suppose if you are connecting the two events with the two arrows, what is the meaning? So there is no meaning. So that's why you have to use only one arrow for activity. So this is to be distinguished from case where one activity is broken into segments. So if you are denoting like this, then one activity will divides segments, broken into segments. In such a case, each segment may be represented by a separate arrow. Suppose if you have to divide the activities, suppose it is divided, then you have to divide the events, and also you are indicating the with two different arrows. That means these two are same thing. So same related into two. Suppose same event is broken into same two. That means one activity is broken into two. Then you have to divide like this. Then you have to connecting with single one. So both are connected and both are related to, suppose both are connected to action. That means these two are completing, then this activity is followed on. That means you have to represent in this way, but you don't use this type of things. Okay, so this is very important thing. Then uh, no two activities can be identified by the same beginning and end event. Okay, so no two activities can be identified with the same beginning at the and end event. Okay, so just like this, these are same events. Both the activities are having same events and same starting event and same ending event. So in such cases, a dummy activity is introduced to resolve the problem as shown in below diagram. Okay, so dummy activity, suppose like this way. So then there is a loop. Suppose from 1 and 2 there are two activities are there, A and B. So this is not a correct one. So you have to resolve this problem in this way. So you have to divide, have to take another event. Okay, so A, B, there are two activities from 1 to 2, that is A activity, and 1 to 3, that is another activity. Then both are connected with, these two are connected with dummy activity. Okay, so this is dummy activity actually. Okay, so like this. Then this is one rule. So already I told you. So this is also same example. So you do not go for this type of things. Okay. So you have to take the follow this one or this one. You have to use the dummy activity also. Then in order to ensure the correct precedence relationship in arrow diagram, following question must be checked whenever an activity is added to a network. Okay. So in order to ensure the correct precedence relationship in arrow diagram, following question must be checked whenever any activity is added to a network. So what activity must be completed immediately before this activity can start? That is very important thing. Okay. So what activity must be completed before you have to start an activity? Suppose if you are starting this activity, so what is the previous activity? What activity is completed? Then next activity. You have to think about next activity. Suppose is there any other activity? Then you have to think about this next. Okay, not suppose if you are starting this activity, this activity, first you have to focus on this activity. So whether it is completed or not, then only you have to start the new activity. Otherwise, there is no meaning. And then next question is, what activities must follow this activity? After that, suppose if you have to complete this activity, after completing this activity, what activities are follow this activity? Okay. So what next question is, what activities must occur simultaneously with this activity? So, and what are the activities are occurred in the simultaneously with this activity? That means A and B are the simultaneous activities. Both are done at same time. So you have to observe all these things. Okay. So first one is, what activity must be completed immediately before this activity can start. And second one is, what activities must follow this activity. And third one is, what activities must occur simultaneously with this activity. You have to observe all these things. Okay. So these three questions are very, very important before you are constructing a network diagram. Okay. So first you have to answer yourself, then coming into the conclusion, then only you have to start the network diagram. Okay. So that is very, very important thing. And next one, fourth one is, does a network should be developed on the basis of logical or technical dependence? Okay. Thus a network should be developed on the basis of logical or technical dependence. Okay. So is the network should be developed on the basis of logical or technical dependence. It is the network diagram is developed on either logical base or a technical dependence. You have to find out this thing also. And next one is, the arrows depicting various activities are indicative of logical precedence only. Okay, so the arrows depicting various activities. Okay, every arrow representing various activities. Arrows are representing various activities and indicative of logical precedence only. After that, every activity will be indicating some logical precedence. Okay, so before that what it is there, and after that what it is there. So hence length and bearing of the arrows are of no significance. Suppose the size of the arrow is not a matter, because if the size of the arrow is means, that means it is takes a huge time, or whether it is a small arrow, it takes a small time, it is not a right way. Okay, so this is not a correct way. So whether you are not depending upon the size of the arrow, it does not indicating any extension or something deduction. That means it is less, it is not indicating any less or high. Okay, so you need not think about the size of the arrow. Okay, so you have to focus on only the activity. Okay, suppose if it is a long arrow, then it not taking as a much more time. Okay, so it is not indicating the more time. Okay, suppose whether it is a small arrow or whether it is a big arrow, it is not reflecting any time duration. Okay, so depending upon your network diagram, your comfortable, your flexibility, then you have to extend the arrow size, though there is no issue. Okay, that is no problem. Okay, so according to your flexibility, you have to extend the network diagram, and also you have to extend the arrow size, but it is not related with the time duration of the activity. Okay, so right, then the flow of the diagram should be from left to right. So always the flow of diagram is from left to right. Okay, so like this. Okay, so from left to right. Okay, then two events are numbered in such a way that the event of higher number can happen only after the event of lower number is completed. Suppose if you are giving a indicating the events with a number, suppose this is first event and this is the second event. So you have to given the numbers like this. Suppose the lower number event is complete, then only the higher number event is started. Suppose if you are giving like this, okay, so if you are indicating like this, so there is no meaning. So there is a higher number, after that there is a lower number. This is meaningless. That's why you have to start with lower number and extend with larger number. That means big number. Okay, so this is the correct way. Then arrows should be kept straight and not curved. So arrows is always straighten. So you don't draw like this. Okay, so you have to draw the lines like this. That means straight line. So you're not curved. Okay, you are not using curved arrows. So avoid arrow which cross each other. Okay, and also the arrows are not crossing each other. Okay, like this is also not a correct way. Okay, so avoid mixing two directions, vertical and standing arrows may be used if necessary. Suppose avoid mixing two directions, so don't use bidirectional arrows, so like this. So then vertical and standing arrows may be used if necessary. Suppose if you are using vertical arrows also, so like this. So if it is necessary, then you have to vertical arrows. So in general there is horizontal arrows, but you have to use in some cases vertical arrows also if it is need is there. Okay, then use dummy activity freely in rough graph, but final network should have only reluctant dummy. Okay, so if you are freely using dummy activities in rough graph, but in the final network diagram you have to use only dummy activities where it is necessary. Okay, so whether it is necessary, then you have to use dummy activity, otherwise you have to remove it. Okay, then the network has only one entry point called the start event and one point of emergence called end event. Okay, so the network has only one entry point and one exit point. Okay, that is very important thing. So there is one starting point and there is one ending point. Okay, every network diagram having these two things. So one is the starting point and another is the ending point. So angle between the arrows should be as large as possible. Okay, so the angle between the arrows, so that means the angles in between the arrows, they like this. Okay, so 1 minute. So suppose there is a an angle in between the arrows. Okay, so just like this. So this is one arrow and this is one arrow and this one is one arrow. So the angles in between these arrows, if it is as large as possible, that means you have to extend. That means then only the network diagram is very clear. Okay, that's why the angle between the arrows as large as possible. Okay, so then after that, what are the errors, common errors in the drawing network? There are three types of errors which are common in network diagrams. Okay, so in general, all we are done three type of errors in the drawing network. Then one is dangling error. So first one is dangling error. So dangling error means to disconnect an activity before the completion of all activities in a network diagram is known as dangling. Okay. So suppose if you are seeing this diagram, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So then in the above diagram, the activity 5 to 8 and 6 to 7 are known as dangling error. Okay. So they are suppose there is no endpoint for this. There is no interconnection between these things. Okay. Suppose if you are using the dummy activity, so that is one way, but if you are not using the dummy activity, then it will be it's not a complete diagram, network diagram. Okay, so you are not left these events like this way. Okay, so this is dangling error. Okay, so these are not last activities on the network, because these are not last activities on the network, because the 10 for completing, suppose the endpoint is 10. So after that there is nothing, that is no problem, because the 10th event is the last event. That's why there is no problem. But the 8 and 7 are not last events. Okay, so they are not connected with any other event. So that means it is meaningless. That means after that there is no activity. It indicates after that there is no activity. Suppose if you are left these two things, 7 and 8, you are not connecting to any other activity, then that will be treated as these two are the ended activities. Okay, so because already there is the 10th activity, that is the end activity. So then the suppose after 7 and 8 there is another activity, 9 is there and 10 is there, but they are not connected with any other activity. That means these two are also ending activities. So that is not a correct, that not gives a correct sense. Okay, so before the endpoint is not reached, then how the task is over, how the event is completed. Okay, so is there any possibility before you completing the 10th one, is there any possibility to complete these two events? No, because these two are the not end events. That means after there is something, after 7 and 8 also there is something, 9 and 10 are there, then you then there is a meaning is what is the meaning of that? This situation is there is some other activities that are there, because these two are not the end activities. Then some extension is there. So why you are lefting these two as an empty? So that's why you have to avoid this type of errors. This is called as dangling error. Okay. Then after that, second one is the looping error. So this is also most common error done by the most of the network diagram designers. So looping error is also known as cyclic error in this in the network. So this is also called as cyclic error. So drawing an endless loop in a network diagram is known as error of looping, as shown in below diagram. So this is a loop 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and 5 to 8, and like this. So this is a looping one. Okay, so this is not a correct one. So you are not looping, you are not using looping activities in the network diagram. Okay, so 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, like this, and 10 to 11, 11 to 12. So and again it will be indicated, so backward position. So this is also looping. So like this way you have not to use like this indications. So there is no looping in the network diagram, so you have to avoid loopings. Okay, so that is looping error. Then reductance error. Okay, so after that third error is reductance error. So unnecessarily inserting the dummy activity in a network diagram is known as error of reductancy. Okay, so as shown in below figure, in which putting a dummy activity from 10 to 12 is an reductance error, because 10 after 10 there is 11 activity, after 11 there is a 12th activity. So both are connected with each other, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. So there is no need of use of this dummy activity, because already they are connected with each other, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. So this is not a dangling error. Okay, so because after 10 there is 11th activity, after then 12th activity is there. So 10 is connected with 11, and 11 is connected with suppose 11 is connected with 10, and 12 is connected with 11. So there is no chance of dangling or any other thing. So that's why there is no need of use a dummy activity. So without any purpose you are not using the dummy activity. That is another important thing. Okay, so where it is necessary, then you have to use the dummy activity. Otherwise you are not using any dummy activity unnecessarily. So that is called as reductance error. So you don't do like this, you do like these things. Okay, so you try to avoid these type of errors. So these three are the major errors. One is drawing a dangling error. So and after that second one is looping error, and third one is reductance error. So you have to put all these things in our mind. So you have to remember the rules when you are constructing a network diagram. You have to follow these rules. So after constructing any network diagram, first you have to check, is there any errors like these three errors, and also for any suppose you are not you are following all the rules which are already there in the network diagram. So these rules. Okay, so from A to 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So these 12 rules are also very important. Okay, so while constructing a network you have to remember these rules. Okay, so then another important thing is, what is the differences or comparisons in between PET and CPM. Okay, so PET versus CPM, so that is basic terms, PET and CPM. Okay, so PET stands for Project Evaluation and Review Technique, and CPM stands for Critical Path Method. So, and what is the meaning of PET is the technique used to manage uncertain activities of a project. So there is a lot of uncertain activities in the project. So you have to manage all these uncertain activities of a project with the use of PET. And CPM, the statistical technique used to manage the activities of a project. So in the PET, we are using the statistical techniques. You have to manage the activities of a project. Then method is a control time. In the PET, there is a control time, and in a CPM, there is a control constant time. So in the PET, we are focusing on only control time. So how to manage the time, and suppose how you complete the project as early as possible. Then in the CPM, both cost and time is also important. So you have to control the cost and also you have to control the time. So that means suppose you are reducing the time, then ultimately it does not show effect on the project cost. Okay, so it does not show effect on the project cost, because if you are reducing the time, there is no change in the cost. That is good one. So if you are decreasing the time, then ultimately it leads to the increment in the cost. There is no use for you have to reduce the time. Okay, so then you have to compare with each other, balance each other. Then next one is evaluation. So evaluation is a research and development project. So PET is a research and development project in the name itself. So it is a research and development project, R&D project. So CPM means construction of project. So you have to construct the project. That means a diagram. You have to construct the vector diagram of the project. So then manages PET manages unpredictable activities, and CPM predictable because there is a probability is there. So in the PET we are analyzing the managing the unpredictable activities, and in the CPM we are managing the predictable activities, what you have to expect. So unpredictable means you are not expecting anything. So unpredictable activities, unexpected things. So then in the orientation, PET is event oriented and CPM is the activity oriented. Okay. So we are using the PET on basis of event oriented, and the CPM is based on the activity oriented. Then we are focusing, suppose in PET we are focusing on the events, and in CPM we are focusing on the activity. Okay. So what are the activities? Then next one is model of the PET is probabilistic model, and CPM is the deterministic model. Okay, so probable uncertainty means then probability is there. So if it is not happen or happen, CPM is a deterministic model because there is a the statistics we are using. We are clearly know the value, and we are clearly determine the value of that network diagram. Then estimates. So in PET we are using the 3-time estimates, but in the CPM we are using the only 1-time estimate. So then after that. Basic terms comes then appropriate for high precision time estimated, reasonable time estimated. Okay, so appropriate for high precision time estimate. Okay, so high precision time estimate. So then reasonable time estimate. Okay, so it is high precision time estimate. This is suitable for high precision time estimate. This is suitable for reasonable time estimate. So high precision means you are expecting the high value, so highest value. Then we are estimating in the reasonable time estimate. So then after that, nature of job, that means it is non-repetitive nature. So generally PET in the PET there is no non-repetitive things, and then in this CPM model there is a repetitive things are there. Then critical and non-critical activities. So this is no differentiation in the critical and non-critical activities, but in CPM that is differentiated. Okay, so and after that, crashing concept, it is not applicable in the patent CPM, but in the CPM it is possible. Okay, so this is about PET versus CPM. Okay, so this is one of the important topic, so you have to focus on this. Okay, so after that we are coming into the CPM critical path method. So critical path method CPM is one of the basic deterministic methods. So CPM critical path method, it is one of the basic deterministic methods of the network analysis. This is one of the important model. So its aim is to determine the duration of the project based on the critical path length, which is a sequence of independent activities with the least float. Okay, so it is aimed to determine the duration of the project based on the critical path. Okay, so based on the critical path, you have to we have to determine the duration of the project. Okay, so it is based on the critical path length. So how much time, so that means the maximum time to complete the task. The critical path is nothing but the maximum time to complete the task or job. Okay, so which is a sequence of interdependent activities with the least float. Okay, so it is in a sequence of interdependent activities because every activity is depending with another activity. So it is a sequence. Okay, so CPM was developed in 1957 by M.R. Walker of EI, DuPont, Dunomerus and Co. So first CPM is introduced by these people in the 1957, DuPont, Dunomerus, Nemoras and Co. to solve project scheduling problem. So there is a problem for problem scheduling, project scheduling. So they are trying to solve this project scheduling problem with CPM. So it was a network analysis for scheduling production, construction projects as well as research and development activities. So this network analysis is used for to solve the scheduling problems, scheduling production and also construction projects and also as well as the research and development activities. Okay. So then besides this, it is used in certain other situations that requires estimates of time and performance. Okay. So, and also another thing is there, it is used in certain other situations that require estimates of time and performance, where there is a requirement of the requirement of suppose estimation, there is a need of time estimation, then we are using the CPM. Okay, so where there is a required time estimations, we are requiring the time estimations, then we are using the CPM. Okay, so with CPM, the amount of time needed to complete various parts of the project is assumed to be known with certainty. Okay, so with CPM, the amount of time needed to complete various parts of the project. Okay, so it is assumed to be known with certainty. Okay, so there is a certainty we are assuming to know what are the amount of what is the time we are needed to complete the various parts of the project. There is a certainty. Okay, so there is no uncertainty. We are in the CPM we are having some certainty. Okay, so then we are knowing the exact time, how much time it will be take to how much time it will complete this project. Okay, so and moreover, the relation between the amount of resources employed and the time needed to complete the project is also assumed to be known. Okay, so the relation between the amount of resources employed and the time needed. Okay, so how much amount of resources are used in the project and also how much time it is needed, how much time it will take to complete the project. It is also assumed to be known. We are assuming and also we have to know what is the completion time and how much amount of resources we are using. So both the things you have to know. Okay, so because these two are very, very important. Okay. Okay, so after that there is time estimates. Time estimates is very, very important. So there are three times are there: optimistic time, pessimistic time, and earliest time. Okay, so optimistic, pessimistic, and earliest time. Okay, so these three are very, very important while calculating the CPM. So after that, we have to know three different time estimates. Okay, so time estimates. So time estimates analysis is a critical path in network analysis once the network of a project is constructed. So there is a time estimate analysis is very, very important in the critical path network analysis. Then you have to construct a network diagram. Then before you have to know the three different time estimates. Time analysis of network becomes essential for planning various activities of the project. So before suppose if you have to plan various activities in the project, then first you have to go for network time analysis. Then only you have to plan the you have to develop the network diagram of the project. Okay, so an activity time is a forecast of the time and activity expected today from its starting point to its completion point. Okay, so an activity time is a forecast of the time and activity expected today from its starting point to its completion point. Okay, so from starting point to completion point, how much time it will be taken, that is called as an activity time. So under the normal conditions, the main objective of time analysis is to prepare a planning schedule of a project So the main purpose of the time analysis is to prepare a planning schedule of a project. Okay. So then planning schedule should include the following factors. So one is total completion time of the project. First, you have to know how much time it will take to complete that project. Second one, earliest time and each activity start. So what is the earliest time? Suppose you have to start an activity. What is the earliest time? And that means before you have to start. And what is the latest time each activity? That means what is the latest that what is the earliest time and what is the latest? That means there is a difference in between these two things. So actually you have to start in the earliest time. That means before time, but it will be delayed. That is the latest time. Suppose you are starting the activity at 10:11, suppose 10:30 a.m. and your plan. So, but you are starting that work in a 10:32 minutes. So there is a delay. Your estimated time before that is 10:30, but you are starting that work at 10:32. That is, there is a 2 minutes deviation. What you are expecting and what you are done. So before you are starting work, you have to plan. At this time, this one is completed. Suppose is there any unnecessary delays are there? Suppose unexpected things are also happen. Then you have to give that take it as a latest time. So then latest time each activity can be started without delaying the total project. So without delaying the total project. So float for each activity, that is the amount of time by which the completion of an activity can be delaying the total project completion. So suppose if is there any delays in the activities, then ultimately uh, how much time we are the total time for suppose if you are delaying, there is a time delay that you have to calculate the total time delay, how much time it will be delayed, then that is effect on the total project completion. So that is another important thing. The next one is identification of critical activities and critical path. After that, we have to identify, verify, check the critical activities and also critical path. Then the following notations for basic scheduling computations will be used. Ij activity Ij with tail event I and head event J. Then TR TI both are same EI. So earliest occurrence time of event. So TLR TLF. So LI latest allowable occurrence time of event. DIJ estimated completion time of activity. ESIJ earliest starting time of activity IJ, and EFIJ earliest finishing time of activity IJ, and LSIJ latest start time of activity I and J, and LFIJ latest finish time for activity I and J. Okay, so there is a notation to indicate the different times in the included in the project, that is the latest time or earliest time or something. Okay, so this is about a simple introduction about the time estimates. Okay, so after that we have to discuss about total floats. So in next class. Okay, right. Today I stopped over here.